Well, since you guys last saw me, that was when my van died, when I tried to take it through some mud. Since then, I bought a Grand Prix as a daily driver until I found something else that's odd, but still fun, manual, and rear-wheel drive. Now, this is not a very common car, or at least here in Canada. It's a 1985 Merkur XR4TI Turbo, which I think most of them were. But yeah, it's nice, fairly low mileage. Don't know if you could see there, it's a bit dark. But yeah, it needs some work. Power steering is leaking, which I thought would be the steering rack, but luckily it's just a line. And there's a fairly large hole in the floor, which I'll get back to you guys on that very soon. And also, if you can see that, is the turbo. Okay, so here it is after pulling the seat out. Nothing out of the ordinary. We see the previous owner has gone to McDonald's, some other place, and they lost, what is that, 25, 35, about $2.40 in the car, and that's about it. Okay, so I cut the rust out, and I can see the hole in the floor is about the size of my hand. With an angle grinder, I was able to cut it fairly good. Of course, there's better tools for it than that. Still gotta cut that side, but that's gonna be the easy bit. Okay, so now I made a template of the patch that I'm going to use on the floor. Then after that, I transferred it to metal. I just laid it down flat and traced around it. Got this out of it, and bent the corners where it's supposed to be bent. Looking a lot better than that big hole we had just a few hours earlier. Okay, so the next step after that is to rocker guard. It's pretty much a rubberized undercoating. Where you cut the hole out, because along the edges there's bare metal, and you don't want any of that to rust. Or else you'll run into the same problem you were having before you started this. Okay. Just make sure you shake it up good, get it all mixed up, and just give her. Sorry, it's a little hard to paint and film at the same time, so. Okay, you guys get the idea. So I finished up the floor on this side, just rocker guarded it with that stuff. And then I also did the back side of the floor patch. Just a nice thick coat over that. Takes a little bit of time to dry, but not too bad. Okay, so before I start cutting the second hole, I just drew a quick line with a Sharpie of where I'm gonna cut. It's always nice to have this, just so you don't cut too much or too little. Cut once, it's a lot easier. Okay, so I cut the rust out on this side. It wasn't too bad, not as bad as the other side. After that, I made a quick stencil, just out of cardboard again. Let's see if I can fit it in there. So metal sit just like that. Now I just gotta trace it over to the sheet metal, bend it, and then throw it in here. Okay, now I just gotta make the last cut. grinding disc is about done. But we got the last bit of sheet metal. Okay, so I got all the patches made up. You can see the little ones over there by the driver's feet. And then right in here I made a little L-shaped patch that'll go from underneath. Just make sure everything's all nice and tight. Next up, I'm just gonna rivet them in just to make sure they don't move before I weld them. And that way I can do any little adjustments after if I have to drill out a rivet or something. Just makes it a little easier. The new floor pan is now all riveted in. I usually like to weld these, but I didn't have a welder, so this will do the trick. And the next hole has been rocker guided all around it. I'm getting ready to put the next floor pan down, drill some holes, and pop the rivets in. Ah, piece of shit rivet. There we go.